J.Pin, I don't know what I want to talk about today. I just know we both have things we want to get off our chest.
Yeah, I'm about to make some people mad.
Like, what grinds our gears? Let's talk about what grinds your gears.
Because I said what I said, and that's what was said, period.
Oh,
just roll it.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, guys.
He had a moment. We're going to let that live for 2.5 seconds. But in other news, yes. We are LaMay Day Limelight. I am your girl, Sharíck LaMay.
I'm j.Pin. You know what it is.
You know what it is, and you know who we is. This is LaMay Day Limelight.
Yes, it
and
is.
2020, clear vision, surrendering.
Intentional.
And today is just going to be one of those days we just want to talk about what's on our hearts and what's grinding our gears. I remember we asked our panel we had last season when we had a couple of creatives what grinds their gears. So what grinds your gears, J.Pin, as a creative in this industry?
You know, as a creative in this industry, that's one factor, but just on a more personal level, just being someone who's from the LGBTQ plus community and someone who's a liberal, what's grinding my gears now is being at odds with family members, close family members who, in some ways or in several ways support an administration, or movements that go against or negatively impact my life and my community.
Wow.
So it's like, because, this is from like older members of my family. And so I think there's a generation there that us as millennials, there's like a rift because we want them to understand where we are at in life, but they're so set in certain ways that it becomes very difficult to translate.
And have that conversation. That's interesting. So how do you deal with that?
By speaking up. I come from a family that doesn't speak up about these things. From a family that prefers to, remain hush and, we don't get into taboo topics.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up in. I grew up in a very Christian home, a very conservative home. Southern, Spanish, Baptist, my family's also immigrants. And so culturally, I think growing up, there was a lot that I repressed as far as expressing myself because we just didn't do that in my family. And now as an adult where I'm experiencing the world and I'm really thrust into the social climate and the way that several marginalized communities are being affected, I'm very sensitive to those things. And I see them and I want to work and I want to do positive things and create social impact.
Right.
However, coming from a family that doesn't understand that and isn't exposed to the world in the way that I am, it gets difficult because I'm having words now that I'm having conversations that I was not having before. I'm speaking up on things that I wasn't before with my family, and they don't know how to take it. They immediately think I'm attacking, and I'm not attacking. My intention is to inform. I want to inform how certain ways of thinking affect large amounts of people, how they affect immigrants, how they affect people of color, how they affect the queer community.
And how it affects you.
Period.
Right.
And there's...
I get you.
Yes, there's trouble. There's trouble there in getting them to understand that. And so...
Well, that's interesting because I think overall, as a millennial base, I've been seeing a lot of my peers, especially on Facebook. I don't know why Facebook is just I'm just going to just let all this out. A lot of my peers I see, have these rants about, family ain't it, and you don't got to do this, and the establishment of the family doesn't mean you have to just be hush hush and quiet and everything else. Now, I think I was brought up in a similar situation. I can't say I have those experiences with my family, but when there comes a time for me to speak up, I'm kind of like the peacemaker in my family. So when everything's going crazy and everybody's at each other's necks, and that's more so from my father who instilled that within me, is I just like to be peaceful. And sometimes I personally may not say anything just because I like to have faith, and in time I think things will always work themselves out. But it's hard to gauge. I can see how that can be very difficult.
It is difficult. On top of that, like, you know how people always say, oh, respect your elders?
Yeah.
Right? And which by all means, I think you should totally respect your elders. But there's a certain caveat to that in regards to, like, well, at what point do I get to speak to you as an adult?
And because I am an adult. You have to respect me as an adult.
Exactly, because I am an adult, and quite frankly, as a functioning adult in this world, I will say things that might challenge your way of thinking. And that's immediately construed as, well, you're disrespecting your elders. No, I'm trying to communicate with you as an adult and letting you know that I understand the world that I'm living in, and there's something that you've said or done that disagrees with my thinking. So it's funny because that to me, sometimes I look at that phrase now and I'm like, it can kind of be toxic. Yeah, I'm not saying go curse anybody. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you can't have a conversation as an adult with someone who is older than you, it's almost as if a ways of silencing the status quo.
I think in a way too, when people say that, it's kind of putting a blanket over their lack of understanding and their lack of empathy and their lack of knowledge for what's currently going on in society. What's normal to them and what may have been normal for them when they were growing up is not the same now. So when they say respect your elders, it's like respect the fact that they have ignorance. You know, Period. But do you have to respect it in the way that they want you to respect it? That's to be determined. I mean, honestly, I haven't had any issues like that with any of my elders. I love my parents. I'm able to have open conversations with them. I'm not saying it's all peachy and creamy, but you have to learn how to talk to people and kind of meet people where they are. And I think where things clash is people expect people to understand them right away based upon the words that are coming out of their mouth, where sometimes you have to kind of put yourself in their situation and come from you really don't get it, so let me break it down to you at the most minimalistic, dumb it down level if I have to, without patronizing the person, of course, because they'll get offended by that too. And just have a conversation. Then sometimes you just might have to let that ish go. Like you just might have to let it go, agree to disagree, but still love them. And I don't believe in holding grudges, you know, very long with anybody in my family, because I think that's, you know, that's all I got really. So but I get it.
I just want to be sure that I'm always doing my part to inform and to be an advocate in the most positive way.
Absolutely.
And I do think that requires some challenge. Some conversation that requires a challenge into old ways of thinking, because, you know, there are generations younger than me within my family that are being raised in that environment, and I want to be sure that, you know, I've done somewhat of my part.
Now, do you think that they have it easier than you did because you were older and you were probably the first, you know, to get that sense?
See, the thing is, and in my case is different because I left home. Like, you know, I wanted to experience the world. I moved to Los Angeles, and I've been to other parts of the world, and I've experienced different cultures and different religions, different spiritualities, different ways of living, period.
Right.
And when you come from homes that are very set in conservative Christian values or Protestant values, it's, unless they've had a chance to experience other parts of the world, they're very stuck in that. You know, and by no means am I trying to challenge anyone's religious views or anything like that. No. But I think it's important to understand that not everyone in the world lives the same way you do. There's a much bigger world outside of the Bible Belt. There's a much bigger world outside of what you grew up thinking. And I think what's happening is there's a lack of experience. There's a lack of exposure to other people in other cultures, and so that's where there's a lack of empathy.
There's a lack of empathy overall, and that's been like, if that could be my other word for this year,
why can't it?
I might write a book about empathy.
We're still in Q1.
You're right. You're right. Well, surrender to empathy.
Yes.
There we go.
Period.
Being empathetic and just knowing that everybody's experience is their experience, and you can't negate it, even though it may not be what you experience. You have different receptors. You have different things that made you who you are, different ways that you react to certain stigmas. So your experience is your experience, their experience is their experience. So, but yeah, so that's what's been grinding your gears.
That's what's been grinding my gears. I got you, friend.
You gonna go to therapy? You been talking to somebody?
I'm about to start back up.
Okay.
Shoot.
Well, we looking for you, therapists.
Yeah.
But, well, since we're talking about family and grinding gears, I mean, it doesn't necessarily grind my gears so much. But I will say a lot of what I've been thinking about lately, especially as I've been, finding myself in this new environment of working for myself and being completely independent of the structure of working a 9 to 5. I would say one of the things that kind of surprises me just within my own personal bringing is I had a different than you, I think. I had a very supportive family. And I'm going to just be 100. My family gassed me up. They gassed me up. From a little child to, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. You're going to be rich, you're going to take care of me. You're going to get me a house. Oh, you got it. And they still, you got it. And I'm like, no. I don't got it. I need your help. So for me, it was like everybody just thought I always had it, and I was very self-sufficient, very independent. I left home at 18, never went back. And I just think people just, overall, in general, not even just my family, but people just have this attitude towards me like, oh, you got it, you good, you don't need help. And then I internalized that. And so even with like mentors and, my parents, I think everyone just has this thing like, oh, you got it. You're good. You're going to be good. Yeah. And I missed out on a lot of preparation and a lot of things that I probably needed to do to better prepare myself for this life. And, it's neither here nor there.
I think people get confused with confidence and they get confused with strong personalities as someone who does have it all together. Yeah. But that's not the case. I mean, you can totally still be a confident person. You can totally be very talented. You can certainly be a leader and still need a certain support that, like you were saying earlier, brings empathy. A certain type of support that shows you're still a human, and you do need help. And so I understand that.
Yeah, too. And not that I'm saying I wish my family didn't tell me all the time how great I was. I thought I was gonna be Beyonce. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. And then what does that look like when I'm not Beyonce? What does that look like for me in my life when all y'all told me that this was just going to happen and it was just going to be, to me, I thought it was going to be easy. I didn't have to, I had to put in work and I had talent and I was always exceptional at what I did. But for me, just having that realization, like, dang, y'all could have probably did a lot more to help me than you did, but y'all gassed me. For sure, but I probably needed somebody to take the steering wheel. Yeah. So that was kind of some of the things that I think about. And again, that's not just towards family, that's towards mentors and that's towards friends, people that I've always looked up to that I think could have probably helped steer me in a certain direction. I think there was a certain amount of negligence, just a little bit. Yeah. I love y'all though, but your girl could have used a little more guidance, you know, so.
And it's always love. It always comes from a place of love.
Yeah.
And, I never want, just in general with both of our situations, like whenever we have these conversations or we bring these types of topics up to our family members, it always comes from a place of love. It always comes from a place of sincerity and honesty, and so it's I'm just looking for better ways for us to connect. That's what it boils down to.
Connect with us too. Like, we don't always have to be the ones. Come see me. Come visit me too. We need it.
Because love also, I feel like love and support includes showing up for someone, and it doesn't have to be physically, but like show up for me in ways that you probably wouldn't have thought would be supportive.
I mean, you could physically be there, but are you really emotionally invested in the moment? Like, I've had people that have been there. You can be there all you want to, but I can tell that you're not really here. This isn't really where you want to be, and you're not completely vested and interested in the outcome. So this is levels, super levels. And then the dog is barking.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Y'all met my nephew last week. Shout out to Kovu.
He's telling us we're talking too much. But yes, you guys, go ahead, comment. Let us know what grinds your gears.
Share.
Tell us, is your family like j.Pin's? Is your family like mine? Do you have a mixture of both? How do you handle it?
Do you have something totally different? I mean,
we want to know.
Yeah,
we want to know, because family it's a thing. It's a real thing. But cherish and love one another.
Absolutely.
Like Jerry Springer's.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys. Make sure you're following and liking and commenting all of our stuff. LaMay Day is doing some amazing things. j.Pin is doing amazing things. I'm doing amazing things. Shout out to the whole squad, the whole LaMay Day family. And yeah, also if you're a creative in the Los Angeles area, you write, you direct, you produce, you edit, come holla at us. We have a spot for you. We're growing our team every day. You
all
need
the
to be
time.
a part of it. So love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.
Suicide doors give me butterflies. Suicide. Okay. Suicide. I'm on drugs. Butterflies. I need a Lambo truck.